All right, so let's go to the phones and catch up with Kelsey in Seattle. Hey, Kelsey, what's going on?
Hi, John. Thank you for taking my call.
Thank you for calling. What's up and how can I help?
My dad struggled with addiction most of his life, and my little brother is following in his footsteps. They slowly lost everything and were living in a motel up until my dad overdosed 2 weeks ago.
Oh, no. I'm so sorry, Kelsey.
Thanks. My brother texted us, Dad's dead, and he continues to use.
Yeah, of course.
We thought it would be rock bottom for him, you know. I'm heartbroken. I'm angry with both of them, and I just don't have the hope that I used to have. How do we deal with the loss of our dad when it was such a complicated relationship? And how do we live with the fear, that we're going to lose my brother too?
I think first is to sit for a second. And it feels like you need to run and do and. Folks who love addicts live their lives waiting for this other shoe to drop, right? And it's heartbreaking. Your dad was probably also a pretty awesome guy too, huh?
Yeah, he needed help that he didn't get.
Yeah.
He had a good heart, but he did a lot of things. I mean, he used with my little brother. It's hard to think about all the good things, but then there are some really bad things too.
Yep, that's right. So the big elephant in the room here is you just lost your dad, and you are still in the middle of that trauma. And making this trauma more complex is that you had a complicated relationship with this guy. And so on top of the normal heartbreak that would be 2 weeks out from any of us losing our parent, is also you had seasons where you hated this man, right? And you had seasons where you despised him, and he was still your dad, and you loved him. And then you had hope, and then he just needs to get through this season. And oh my God, he's using with my brother, but maybe they're going to be good for it. So, right, it's this roller coaster you've been living with, and all that complexity is on top of this grief, right?
Yeah.
And the tendency we have in these moments is to try to solve it all right now. And the hardest thing I'm going to tell you is you can't solve it today.
Yeah.
You just have to be heartbroken that your dad's gone. And you didn't get that. It didn't end like a Disney movie, right?
Right.
And y'all been waiting for that ending for so long, and it didn't happen. It doesn't surprise me. It's not abnormal. It's equally heartbreaking. It doesn't surprise me that your brother went right back to use him. Because when you're using, you're covering up. You are numbing over broken relationships. And the only one he feels like he has left, right?
Yeah.
And so to use that same mechanism to cover up that same challenge doesn't surprise me at all. It's heartbreaking. And for those of us who aren't addicts when it comes to drugs, I think so many of us are addicts with different things. It doesn't make any sense. You think like you just saw someone you love pass away. What are you doing? That's just not how that addicted brain solves math problems, right?
Yeah.
So what's the last 2 weeks been like?
My sister and I and my mom, we try to support each other the best that we can. My brother's not really answering phone calls, and we can't be there for him if he won't let us, you know?
Have y'all called the police on him?
No, he's living in his car, and I don't know what they would do.
You can do a welfare check.
Yeah.
And sometimes, depending on what city you live in, if they have drug court or if he doesn't have a long record, there are community assistance programs that people can have access to through the criminal justice system. That's just one avenue that comes to the top of my head, or finding the car, knocking on it. But I also know y'all been living with this for a long, long time.
Yeah.
How long's he been using?
He'll text us here and there. He has been since he was a teenager.
Okay.
My mom was in a pretty bad accident, and he ended up taking pills from her. So,
man,
it's been a long time. He's been to rehab a couple of times, and he got well for a while, and he's got 2 little kids, and they're going to have to go through the same stuff we did.
Yeah.
It's a lot.
Are the kids safe right now?
Yeah, they're with their mom, and she's got a good support system.
Good. Were y'all able to have a funeral for your dad?
No, not really. We got together and kind of did a small thing for him, just us, but...
How come you didn't have a larger funeral for him?
I don't know. It's complicated.
Okay. Having some sort of ceremony to mark this moment and to talk about him being the fun dad, the silly dad, remember that time, and to talk through the complexity of who he was. This is the stuff that we're not going to miss. And also, no addict I've ever met wants to be an addict, right?
Yeah.
And talk about that he has peace finally, right? To be able to exchange those things in some sort of ceremony with some sort of people who cared about him, even if it's small, is so important. It becomes a touchstone that you heal from. Not marking this moment in some definitive way, it just leaves us untethered for so long, right?
Yeah.
At the end of the day, you're in the right place, and that is heartbroken, feeling like you're sitting in the corner of your room covered up in blankets, and you just think, what am I going to do next, right?
Yeah.
That's where you should be when your dad dies, even if he was a complex man that made bad decisions. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
How's your mom doing?
They've been divorced for quite a while.
Yeah.
She basically went from dealing with him and his addiction to my brother, basically. It's been a long road for her. I know it's hard for her too, but yeah.
So what does tomorrow look like for you, Kelsey?
Well, I've got 4 kids, so I'm gonna do what I can,
Yeah. Do they know about their granddad?
They saw him a few times over the years, but didn't have him around a lot.
Sure.
And so they didn't really get to know the good parts of him, which is sad.
Do they know why mommy's sad right now?
Yeah, my older ones do, but my little ones don't.
Yeah. How old are your kids?
16, 12, 8, and 2.
16, 12, 8, and 2.
Yeah.
So I think the 16 and the 8 and the 12-year-old, I think they're old enough to know about granddad, and that granddad was sick. And I think it'd be a really neat family thing for you guys to write him a letter. And it would be a neat way for them to get to know their granddad and how much there was some good stuff about him, and there was some not so great stuff about him. And I think it's really important for you to model for them what grieving looks like. And it'd be cool for them to write him a letter and say, hey, we never got to know you, and here's what you missed out on, because we're good kids.
Yeah.
And we're sweet kids, and we wish that we'd gotten to know you, but we didn't. But we're going to keep being good kids. And let them reiterate that. Does that make sense? It's not uncommon for grandkids of addicts to feel like it was somehow their fault that their grandparent didn't want involvement in their life.
Yeah.
And so this is a healing moment for everybody. But there's something powerful about writing that letter. And if you don't want to invite them into that conversation, I do think that's important for you. Have you ever sat down and written a letter to your dad and let it all just out?
I haven't.
Okay.
It sounds like a good idea. I've been watching your show, and
It's
I think that's
it'll be one of the harder things you ever do, and it'll be important for you to read that to somebody, whether that's your husband, whether that's your mom and your sister. It could be a neat moment that you and your mom and your sister all write letters to him, and then y'all get together and read them to out loud. There's just something about grief being witnessed that is healing. And I wish I knew the math on it. I wish I knew the exact biochemical responses in the body. I don't. I know that it's healing when people witness grief together. And there would be laughter and tears and memories, and everyone could breathe. You know what I mean? And that's how you can also get some clarity with your brother. Have you ever written your brother a letter?
I haven't. We've texted with him, but, you know.
Yeah, there's something about that, and that may be a conversation for you and your mom and your sister, or maybe it's just two sisters write a letter, but a actual tangible letter that you can get in his hands that he can go back to over and over, and you tell him you love him, and you're there for him, and you miss him, and you don't want him to turn out like Dad, and you will be looking for him when he's ready to get clean, right? And can't wait till he makes that choice. But I think that's, again, it's one of those neat moments that sisters can reach out, brothers can reach out. There's something powerful both for the author and the receiver of that letter. But that's what I would do right now in your grief. And here's the thing. You may write 3 or 4 letters to your dad over the next couple of months. One that just says, I miss you. I can't believe you died. One that is rage. I cannot believe this was my childhood. I can't believe you used drugs with my little brother, and now look at him. I can't believe you didn't know your grandkids. They're awesome. And you missed out. And then there may be a heartbroken daughter to dad letter. Just says, man, I miss you. I miss you so much. And man, I held out hope for you. And it didn't come true, but I held out hope for you. I want you to know that, right? There's something about getting that out and writing it down, letting there be some distance between you and those thoughts and you and that pain, and being able to sit with it. And again, find somebody, whether it's your husband, your wife, your husband, your sisters, your mom, who you can read those letters to, and vice versa. Have your husband join you. He can write your dad a letter too. But man, I'm so sorry. Losing a parent is heavy. And losing a parent with the complexity of a drug addict it's even more messy. And then missing your brother on top of all that is even messy on top of messy. So when those things happen, when our lives spin out on us like that, writing stuff down and getting away from it is so helpful. Not away from the feelings, no. Not running, no. But being able to create some space between us and that weight, that blanket that's just laying on us, not letting us breathe. And it's just going to take some time to heal. And it's going to take some months that are going to turn into years. And you're in it now. I'm so sorry for your loss. Stick by those that you love. So sorry, Kelsey.